All right, so to continue, the reason why my shot got messed up, my dad's having me in the backyard pick the ball off the shoot away rack and then step forward and shoot. And then he's mad at me because I'm shooting square, but it's because of how I'm moving into it. Before I would catch the ball and then move into it like this, have my left foot out and be sideways. But if you're picking the ball off a rack, you're going like this. Now, my dad just let me go because I was still a great player. But then when I lost my starting spot, my dad's all mad. He's telling me, Ryan, shoot sideways. And that's when he started beating me up. As he goes inside, and I'm like, Dad, I need your help. He's like, I give up. You suck now. So then he started beating me up. But then he starts having me go in the backyard, go like this, and then spin sideways, which is stupid. That's what messing my shot. So then, like I said, my dad became sadistic. And the other thing was, people are going to think like, you know, okay, so how did this end up in such tragedy? Because my mom, too, was at my games my freshman year, and this was before all that happened. Like I said, I was a starting point guard my whole freshman year, but then I lost the starting spot 10th grade, right? But then I ended up getting my starting spot back, but still my game had been destroyed because of the shoot away machine. So my mom in the 9th grade is coming to my game, and she's yelling at me after the game. She's like, Ryan, what's wrong with you? Get your head together. You're a shooter. And my dad was like, Marla, stop it. He's playing fine. She's like, he's not playing fine. He's playing awful. He sucks. Get your head together, Ryan. You can't handle the pressure. What's wrong with you? And my dad's like, Marla, stop it. My mom's like, I'm not going to any more games. I'm not going to any more games. It's embarrassing. And then so she never went to my games again. But again, it wasn't my fault. It was because of the shooting machine. But remember, in her mind, she's like, what's wrong with you? You can't handle the pressure. You're falling apart because you can't handle the pressure. She didn't know that my shot was off because my dad was having me practice pick the ball off the shoot away rack. And that's not natural. And it's making me move into shots in a way that's going to make me square. But my dad doesn't know that because my dad's like, well, just spin sideways. Because my dad's a dumbass. So, yeah, so, I mean, we don't have to, a lot of people are going to be like, I wonder what happened. Is it because of narcissism or sociopathy or because of maybe like narco-psychopathy? Shut the fuck up. It's not so complicated. It's because of the shoot away machine. We don't have to try. And my grandpa was like, wasn't the shoot away machine? You're playing this bigger. No one will fucking listen. It's because of the shoot away machine of what happened. But again, things got really bad. So my dad starts beating me up. And then it becomes a cycle of abuse. And it becomes sadistic. To the point where I remember in senior year of high school, it was like a dance or something. And I didn't want to go. And it was probably because my dad had been beating me up so much. And my shot was messed up and I wanted my dad's help. And again, things were so capricious. He would help me sometimes, but then he wouldn't help me. He'd be mad at me. And if I had some good games, then my dad would start to shoot with me. But then if I played bad, then he wouldn't shoot with me. And it was too capricious. It was too crazy. So I had a dance at my school or something like that. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I think it was a dance at my school. And I was supposed to go. But I told my mom and dad, I don't want to go. Because I just didn't feel like going. I was probably really just traumatized by all the abuse that was going on. And I was just, I didn't want to go to the dance. So my mom and dad were like, Ryan, you have to go to the dance. And I'm like, I don't want to go. So I locked myself in my bathroom. And I'm like, I'm not going, guys. Please just leave me alone. I don't want to go. So then my dad was like, you don't want to go? He starts breaking my trophies. This is how sadistic he became. And again, he became very sadistic and very cruel. And to the point where, like I said, he was beating me up. And this time he's grabbing my trophy, starts breaking my trophies. I was like, and so I open the door. I hear him cracking my trophies. I'm like, Dad, stop it. And then my mom's laughing like, hey. My dad's just cracking and breaking all my trophies. And then my mom was finally like, stop it, Paul, just stop it. Because my mom didn't want my trophies broken. But I was like, guys, just please leave me alone. And I don't remember if I went to that dance or not. I don't even remember if I ended up going. But that's the level of cruelty and sadism that my dad was developing. And then he probably beat me up after that. And like I said, it was getting to the point where it was like, you are become a cruel motherfucker. He just was beating me up and just abusing me. And again, he could get away with it because I was never going to tell on him because I felt like I needed him to help me try to fix my shot. So he just became so fucking cruel. So, and in that twitch I have, don't think I always did that my whole life. That developed after I graduated from college at the time when I was trying to talk to my mom and dad when they forced me to quiet. And I'm trying to tell my mom, please, can I see you and dad? And she's like, no, you have have to get out of our lives. We don't want anything to do with you. You're a schizophrenic fucking freak loser. So I'll get to that, how things ended up going to that level. So this was high school. That was what was going on. But like I said, my grandpa, he came in like high school time, and I ended up kind of living with him, going back and forth, living with my friend Afam and living with him at times and going back and forth to my house. But at one point, I was staying with my grandpa, and my grandpa took me to like the spiritual lady to try to do meditation. Because again, like I didn't need, but my grandpa, he didn't really help, because this whole thing was like, Ryan really wants his independence. No, that's not what I wanted. And everything's just fine. Everything's just fine. And right, that's all that Ryan has to understand is everything is just fine. Because I wanted my dad to help me fix my shot. And he was like, I give up, you suck. But then he'd look at my shot and he'd be like, oh, your shot looks ugly. And I'd be like, well, because I didn't know, because I never knew how I shot, because I was always unconscious. And I didn't know the shoot away machine was what was making it ugly. Now I know, but at the time I had no idea. So, but my grandpa's like thinking like, oh, you know, Ryan, Ryan just wants independence, and Ryan, you can't make things happen. You can't change people, and you know, you can't get your way, and everything's fine. And then my mom and dad made it so stupid and so annoying, where they're like, everything's fine, Ryan. You can't make things happen. And they're just so stupid. And they, you know, they're not intelligent people. They've never read a book in their lives. They're stupid people. And they don't try to learn anything. So it was just, and the level of abuse was sadistic and really cruel. So then, so my grandpa's taking me to this meditation place with this lady, like this, you know, the spiritual lady. They all have gray hair, you know, because my grandpa was like a spiritual psychologist. And the lady started teaching me to do like meditations. But the lady looked at me and she was like, he's really cool. Like, he shouldn't have problems. Because at the time I had a lot of swag flow, but I'm not going to get into details about what the swag flow was. But I didn't know I had swag flow at the time, but I'll get to that. I'm never going to go into details about what that is, but that's what I had. But the lady was like, you know, you shouldn't have any problems. You're a really cool kid, you know. But so she was teaching me these meditations to do. Like, one thing, she would have me rubbing my ear and yawning as I rub my ears, and touching my forehead and doing these, like, and one of the things she had me do is put my hands in a cross formation that she was trying to connect my left and right lobes of my brain. And I was doing a lot of these meditations had X's involved with them, where she showed the diagrams. Like, I would try to like connect my left eye to my right eye, and it would make crosses, and a lot of it had to do with crosses, which is interesting. And you see, at the time I didn't know the quadrant model, but now looking back at it, I'd be interested to know what that was, because I still don't know what that was to this day. Those meditations she was teaching me. But a lot of it had to do with crosses, like making X formations. And what else was interesting was, I remember when I went to UCSD, I had learned all these meditations. So I went to UCSD, and I remember I was going to this meditation class at UCSD where it was another spiritual lady, and she would be like, you're one with everything in the universe. Like, it was this meditation, like new age type of class. And I was like sitting there, like doing the meditations and stuff. But I remember there was this guy, Jordan Lawley. He's a very famous basketball trainer, and he liked me a lot. Everyone on my basketball team at UCSD loved me, because like I said, when I went there, my grandpa had been teaching me a bunch of spiritual stuff, and I had changed to be very spiritual. So I was very spiritual at the time, and I was going to all the church stuff with all my classmates, and I was and they really liked, because when I would like go to Bible studies with them, I would kind of express my grandpa's teachings, and they'd be like, wow, Ryan's really smart, this is amazing. So So I ended up going to, but one of the players, Jordan Lawley, before the games, he would always do this. And I told him that this is supposed to connect the right and the left lobes of the brain, which is the X, the cross. And he was like, oh, that's interesting. But that's an interesting thing. And he's a very famous trainer now, like world famous. Everybody knows who Jordan Lawley is. But he was on my team. He was a really good player too. And one thing that he did was, and I'm going to get to this, and this is when I started figuring out stuff in basketball, is when he would catch the ball, when he was playing, he's a lefty, he would catch it before the shot, and he would go like this. He would always bring his leg back like this, and then go like this, and then be sideways and shoot. Now, that's what I did when I was the best shooter in the country. Considered the best shooter in the country. A lot of times. Like, I'd catch it, be backing up, and then go like this, and then go like this, right? And, but he was always doing that, like going like this, and then shooting, right? Or he would also like do the spin into it shot, which is also not kind of automatic shot, where you catch it, and then you spin and then shoot. For some reason, shots make it when you do that more often. And that's what Michael Jordan always did. He'd always back down, and then turn, and then spin and shoot. And for some reason, when you do that and you're sideways like this, it just goes in a lot. So, but I started figuring this out when I was in college, when I was looking at the videos, but I'll get to when I started studying the videos. But so I'll get to a little bit more what was going on in college. So I'm at UCSD, and my teammates love me. But again, but my shot was terrible at the time. Like, my shot was horrible because I've been shooting like I was shooting, practicing picking the ball off the shoot away rack. So instead of like when I was younger, instead of catching the ball like with my right leg back and doing this type of stuff, right? I was catching the ball in the practice and catching it and just being like this. Catch it and just go like this and shoot. Or even at one point I was catching it because my coach at Harvard Westlake was telling me to do this. I was catching it and I was just like completely square, like I was practicing picking the ball off the shooting machine and going like this. And it's just, my shot just got weird. Because this is how I was practicing picking the ball off the rack. So when I got to UCSD, I was still shooting like I was practicing picking the ball off the rack. So I wouldn't be moving into shots like this and shoot. I would catch it and be like this, already like this, and shoot. And it was just like, it was bad. Because I'd catch it and just be like this. And my shot was just really bad. And like, but my teammates still liked me as a person. They knew I sucked at basketball at the time, but they liked me as a person. And also I was doing my rap music at the time, so I'll get to that. And they liked my rap music. But like when I was in high school, every morning when I went to school, when I was staying with my friend Afam, we would do freestyle raps. Okay, so I started to improve in rapping, right? And I always wrote raps, and I always was doing raps. But then when I got to UCSD, like I said, Thanksgiving, my tape recorder broke, and my parents came to visit, and things were fine with my family at that time because I had stopped asking them to help me try to fix my shot, and things were okay, you know. But it was still a lot of problems under the surface. So I'll get to that. So, but anyways, I'll just give but yeah, when I was at Thanksgiving, that's when my tape recorder broke. So I started free writing, and that's when I developed my free writing rap style. And it was like, people thought it was amazing, but then my mom ended up throwing away a lot of my raps, but I'll get to that later. But so just kind of like just a little bit more of what happened at UCSD. I'll just kind of go over like some more of the sex stuff. So like I said, I was a virgin until I was 23 years old, but people didn't know that. And like I said, my coach, Coach Isaac, my friend Isaac, who was Ronaldo's coach, he was who I met in high school. He was like, dude, you know, people at Harvard Westlake think that you're a bad guy, but the fact of the matter is you never had sex, you never did any drugs, you never drank alcohol. You're actually the best kid at Harvard Westlake. And the ironic thing is everyone thinks that you were bad. But like I said, I wanted people to think I was bad because I thought it was cool. Like I told my friend Ronaldo, yeah, I told the girl to suck my dick when I didn't. I was just trying to be cool with him. And like I wanted to be like, oh yeah, I got in a fight and that's why I stopped playing basketball. But no, I didn't get in a fight. 3 people punched me. I didn't do anything. You know? So it's like, but everyone everyone thought I had a negative reputation, but I didn't do anything negative. You know? So the fact of the matter was I was a victim of abuse from my mom and dad, but and that was all that happened, and then it led to problems later on in high school. But I was a good kid. So like I said, at UCSD things were going okay, things were good, and all my teammates loved me. Things were, you know, I was more spiritual at this time. I was like, so I remember I went with I did my freestyle writing style. And I was going to all these parties with my teammates at UCSD, and they would have me freestyle at the parties, and you know they loved it. My teammates loved me, and everything was going good. And then, but like I said, my shot was terrible. I was probably one of the worst players on the team. I probably was the worst player on the team at the time until I started studying the video. So I'll get to that. But so yeah, I'm freestyling. I'm doing all that stuff. Things are going well. And I remember okay, so then my sophomore year happened, right? I'll get more to what happened my freshman year in later lectures. But I remember my sophomore year, I was with this kid named Jordan. He's a black kid on the team. And we didn't have very many black kids. And I remember we were hanging out, we were eating, and there was these 2 girls. One was Asian and one was kind of like whitish Latina. And both of them liked me. and Jordan could tell they liked me, and we ended up going back to their hotel room. Like I said, but I'd never had sex, and I didn't want to have sex because in my mind, because my grandpa was teaching me, everything is one. There is no self, and sex is self-confirmatory. He said sex brings attention to your senses, to your gonads, and to the delusion that you are a separate self. So it focuses your attention, it narrows your attention. And like I said, I saw myself as a Messiah, and I didn't want to have sex because I thought the Messiah should not have sex until he's married. So I was with my teammate. We went with these two girls up to their apartment, and I remember my teammate was like, "Hey, Ryan, freestyle for them." So I had, but this was the time when I first started writing my raps. But I had a rap that I'd already written when I was in 3rd grade, and it goes, "Yakety yak, don't talk back, you whack, guy with no sack, just 2 cracks. I'm a superstar by far, shooting hoops and throwing up alley. Oops, I think I just committed murder, but I promise I didn't mean to hurt her. I just got a gun, started having some fun, pulled the trigger, and I accidentally hit her." I wrote that rap when I was in the 3rd grade. Yeah, fucking 3rd grade. That's better than anybody fucking does in their fucking 30s. But again, like when I wrote it, it was like free write. But that was in the 3rd grade, and I stopped writing for some reason. I started doing tape recorder, but only in college did I start doing the free writing style. But the girls were all like, "Oh, that's amazing," and they're probably all getting wet, So I did the freestyle, and then my friend is what there was the kind of Latina girl, half white, half Latina. There was a fat white girl, and the Asian girl who was kind of big. But my black friend liked the Asian girl because he's like, "Yo, she's thick." He likes thick girls because she's really thick. He said she had a big butt, and he liked that. And but he was with the bigger white girl. He liked big girls. But the Asian girl wasn't like fat, but she was she was bigger like. But I remember I was laying with the Asian girl on her bed, and at this point I had never had sex, and my friend told me that the other girl was very jealous because the girls really liked me, because at the time I didn't know I had swag flow. But I'm not going to get into details about what the swag flow is, but that's part of the reason why I wanted the videos, but I'm not going to go into details. But I didn't know what it was at the time, that's why I had it. I'm not going to go into details. But so I was with I was with my friend. He's down with the kind of bigger white girl, and I'm with the Asian girl on the top, and then the Asian girl goes under the covers. It was dark, and then she starts to suck on my penis, and I remember my stomach like dropped, and I was just like, "Oh," and then but in my mind again, I'm thinking, dude, Ryan, you're the Messiah. You can't have sex. So I ended up kind of like trying to deflect the whole situation. So I was like, okay, let's go to my place. So I could have had sex with her right there, but I was like, let's go to my place. So we go, and as I'm going, a black cat walked by. I'm not joking. So again, all these signs, I always see synchronicities, but this about, if you really understood the level of synchronicities I have seen, I recognize that reality is a dream, it's an illusion. And I've seen, and the reality has shown me in a way that is phenomenal, that if anybody has experienced what I've experienced, they would know. But so I'm walking with this girl, a black cat goes by. We hadn't crossed the path though, but I remember I saw the black cat. And then we kept on going, but I didn't cross the path. If it went by the path, we would have gone another way because I'm superstitious in that element. But so we ended up going, and we went to my apartment, and I remember she was like, she was in my apartment, she was like, "Slap me." And because at the time I didn't know anything, I didn't know about the sadism aspect and how women like to be beat the fuck up, which is weird to me. I didn't understand that. So she was like, "Slap me," and I was like, "What?" She was like, "Slap me," and I slapped her. But I didn't know why she wanted to be slapped, and that didn't turn me on. But apparently that's what girls like. So I slapped her, and then she goes on the bed, and then she's naked. And she says, "Fuck me," and I went up to her, and I told her, "No, I don't have a condom," because again, in my mind I was like, I can't have sex. I'm the Messiah, and also I didn't want to be self-confirmatory. So then she ended up just giving me a blowjob. And like I said, I'd always tried not to ejaculate, but this time I did ejaculate. But in my mind, I told myself, okay, you ejaculated this one time, but listen, that's still not sex. You're still the Messiah. That's what I told myself. So, but then afterwards, so, okay, so I'll get to this. Later that week, there's a lot more I want to talk about, but later that week, I was with her and her Latina friend, like half Latina, half white friend. And the Latina half white friend was like, "Hey, Ryan, let's hang out tonight." They were telling me they wanted a threesome. Not explicitly, but they're like, "Yeah, let's all three hang out tonight. Come to our place. Come on, Ryan." The Latina one. So they wanted a threesome. But, and then she said, she said, I don't bite. And right when she said, I don't bite, I looked at the bushes next to me and there was a spider this big right next to me. And she said, I don't bite. So I saw the spider and then I was like, okay, I'll call you guys later. I went back to my room, never called them. And the whole rest of the year it was awkward kind of, but I would say hi to them and stuff. But they basically tell me, let's have a threesome, Ryan. But I didn't do it because in my mind I was like, Ryan, you're the Messiah. And I saw she said, we don't bite. Right then I saw the spider. I'm going to get to more about how I started seeing the signs and stuff like that. But that's what happened. Now people will say that's schizophrenia. But like I said, the way that I saw it was I'm in a dream and the dream is going to show me things, what to do. And I'll get to how that started happening.